When they started firing directly at us, it was pure panic. My heart dropped. My hands were shaking. My whole body was trembling. We were running back and forth. We had no clear orders. We'd never faced anything like this before. We'd never even seen it, because usually we work from far away.
A Russian drone spotted the Ukrainian TRF1 Howitzer crew, and then hell itself broke loose.
They hit us hard with Grad rockets. We were running. We came back to grab our stuff, then pulled back again. For 3 straight hours we were running, and for 3 hours they were pounding us with Grads.
The guys barely made it out alive, but they believe God heard their prayers. Today, you'll hear the hard truth about the French-made TRF1. The gun Russians want gone so badly, they're ready to fire off a whole 40-rocket salvo just to wipe out one position. So what is it really? A powerful weapon worth the risk? Or a bucket of bolts that constantly breaks down? Ukrainian soldiers from the front lines spill the truth. Despite living under constant threat, Ukrainian artillerymen don't abandon their posts. They stay on call because they know the infantry waits for their big caliber backup like kids wait for their own birthday. Look at the daily life of this gunner. What feels like chaos to us is just routine for him.
We're combat ready 24/7, morning or evening, even if we're sleeping. The radio can give the order to fight at any moment. Then we all sprint out, deploy the gun, get the targeting, and start working.
This crew works like a delivery service, but their customers are airborne assault brigades calling in fire missions. And the recipients of those 155mm packages of high explosive energy are Russian troops.
Right now, we support one of the air assault brigades. We work on call, their drones scout the situation, and if they spot something, they immediately pass the info to the divisional command post.
But before those shells hit their targets, priorities matter. Why not just flatten everything in sight? Because there's never enough ammo. Stockpiles of 155mm rounds aren't bottomless, and a big Russian assault could kick off any moment. And when that happens, no one wants to be left throwing rocks like some medieval catapult crew. So how do they decide which target gets the shot?
The divisional command post decides which battery or platoon takes the mission. They send us the firing data, and then we work the target and adjust fire with the same drone.
And before we continue, hit that like button. Help YouTube's algorithm push this story further. Thanks to modern drones, the balance between the weaker and stronger side can be leveled, and artillery accuracy gets a massive boost. Now, there's always a quadcopter or a fixed-wing UAV circling overhead, correcting fire from the very first to the very last round. How does that change accuracy? Here's the answer straight from the gun position.
We've worked over all types of targets. We operate in pairs with aerial reconnaissance. That way, we avoid situations where we just waste shells shooting randomly.
Now imagine this. Every caliber the Russians have is coming down on you, and your hands are itching to fire back. But your ammo crates are nearly empty, like a KFC bucket after watching a soccer match with the boys. Can't picture it? No worries. This soldier explains it firsthand.
There will never be enough shells. You always want to shoot more, work more. Even during the day, sometimes we fire 50 to 60 rounds, sometimes up to 100.
Because of this ammo hunger, Ukrainian artillery can't afford to waste shells on long-adjusting barrages like armies did in past wars. Drones solve the problem. They guide every strike. Has this really cut down on ammo waste?
Since we have such a limited supply, we save every round. We aim for precision. The drone adjusts us. Usually by the second or third shot, we're already hitting the target. This howitzer is really great when it comes to accuracy.
So Russians shouldn't smirk about shortages. When Ukrainians lock onto a target, the battlefield explodes like a storm. These guys fire as if they're stokers on the battleship Britannia during World War I, shoveling coal until the boilers scream.
Maybe a minute to get the gun on target and fire the first shot. After that, we can fire every 10 seconds.
The results? Let's hear it from a soldier who hammers the enemy every time another Russian assault rolls in.
If we spot a tank, we hit the tank. If it's waves of infantry, like the Russians have been doing lately, then we work over the infantry hard and stop their advance.
2 slow Russian movements. The TRF1 has its own built-in kill zone. And within that radius, even a small Russian squad won't leave without souvenirs from France.
Its max range is 24 kilometers with a full charge, or 28 kilometers using rocket-assisted shells.
But don't be fooled. Russians can hit back. And hard. Multiple launch rocket systems aren't the only threat stalking Ukrainian gunners. Almost constantly, they're monitoring danger from the skies. At any moment, a Russian Lancet kamikaze drone can lock onto them. And when one of those hits a gun position, it's like a dragon exhaling fire. Everything around is engulfed in flames, and shrapnel slices through anything in its path.
The order came to take cover. Most likely Lancets were launched, or maybe an air raid, maybe even aviation. Quick, move. This is serious. Everyone to cover. Lancets overhead. Lancets.
It might sound like a dead end, but not for Ukrainian soldiers. How did they solve this problem? Rule number 1, dig. Rule number 2, if you've already dug deep, follow the third rule, dig even deeper. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss more brutal stories from the front lines.
We try to pick a position or a dugout not too far from the gun so that within a minute and a half, we can get from cover to the piece.
But that's not all. Right next to the gun, 24/7, guys with heavy calibers stand guard, ready to turn any Lancet into confetti.
If we spot drones, we open fire right away. No warning, everyone already knows why.
Of course, Russians won't just fold. Even if they lose hundreds of drones, their deck is stacked with more than just Lancets. They know infantry is holding the line in front of Ukrainian guns. So to crack through that defense and get closer to artillery, they send up Orlan drones for correction. And once an Orlan sees you, you can bet something heavy is coming next.
Usually it's Lancets flying here, or Orlans, or both. Orlans correct artillery fire on the infantry holding a little ahead of us. They adjust strikes on them sometimes.
If drones are a nightmare to deal with, Ukrainian artillery has no problem shredding BMPs, tanks, or Russian bike swarms. When Putin's wolves charge in on motorcycles, there's already a surprise waiting for them. This guy and his gun are like guardian angels, invisible until the thunder hits. And then every infantryman breathes easier.
As we say, the sweat of the artillery saves the blood of the infantry. We think about our boys on the front line. For them, it's much harder, scarier. They need our help badly.
With stakes this high, the last thing anyone in the army wants is for the howitzer itself to break down. And here's where TRF1 shows its cracks. After some time in Ukrainian service, crews have collected quite a list of complaints. Which ones? Let's go step by step.
It's very complicated because there's so much electronics, so many sensors on it. You really have to keep an eye on everything. A lot of things break down and you need to repair or replace parts in time.
Think that's all? Hate to disappoint. The barrel and systems of the TRF1 are like Uncle John's old pickup truck. Looks fine, but constantly needs fixing.
One of the downsides, it breaks often. With Soviet systems, you could just bash something with a hammer, straighten it, and keep working. But here, if a hydraulic hose cracks, it's game over. The gun just won't work.
We didn't just compare TRF1 to a pickup truck for fun. It actually has an engine and can move on its own.
This gun has an internal combustion engine and a hydraulic system. That way, you can start it up, and it'll move by itself at a speed of about 5 to 7 kilometers per hour around the position.
Can you already hear that little engine roaring? Looks impressive, right up until it stalls, and bolts start rattling loose.
The engine vibrates while it's running. Plus, the recoil from firing shakes everything too. And sooner or later, something starts unscrewing.
Bet you anything, after the war, the crew of this gun will be the most wanted mechanics in auto shops. Great resume experience, because fixing TRF1 meant doing it out in the open field.
We can repair almost everything right in the field. Maybe not absolutely everything, but as our commander says, people endure, iron doesn't.
Engine problems look like a fat minus for sure. Nobody likes wasting precious time turning wrenches. But once the repair is done, and you see the gratitude in your brother's eyes, you realize it's worth it. This artilleryman rolls up to a position like he's parking in a lot.
It's really convenient if you need to quickly turn it around in tight places, much faster than other 155mm howitzers of roughly the same size.
But how do you actually bring this beast to the sector? You need a superhero to tow it into place. Superman was busy, so the job went to an old army tractor.
It's an interesting design. It's a transitional stage from the classic towed howitzer, where a tractor brings it in, drops it off, it fires, and then the tractor picks it up again.
Mastering artillery isn't about talent, it's about sweat and hard work. Ukrainians trained abroad, but only became real pros when they faced war head-on and learned by doing under fire.
It all clicked pretty fast. By the second day of training, I already understood the basics, how it works, how to operate it. Just practice, and it all comes together.
And here's the irony. This speed of learning is actually a downside. Western instructors had months to get comfortable with TRF1. Ukrainians? They had to sweat it out because every extra hour at the training range meant lost time and lost ground on the front.
The European instructors who trained us told us we learn way faster than their guys, probably because they've got time. We didn't. We had to learn fast so we could get back to defending our country.
Some guys even came back from abroad to help buy time for training reserves and to reinforce their brothers already fighting in artillery crews. But what would you do? Would you stay in the rear and help from there? Or would you head straight to the front? This guy made his choice. And while he tells his story, you can share your thoughts in the comments.
I was living in the United States of America, but the feeling of dignity, the need to protect my family, and the sense of injustice made me return to Ukraine and join the armed forces.
On the Ukrainian front, the TRF1 has shown itself as a fierce but demanding beast. Compared to the old Soviet guns Ukrainian troops had been fighting with, it's like a breath of fresh air. But this comfort comes at a cost. Hours of maintenance. And now it's your turn. Which Western howitzer do you think is better, TRF1, M777, or FH70? Drop your thoughts under this video.